What is up, FBI fam? We are back online. We have a huge episode today. We finally detained RJ, aka Bear Grillz. So we talked a lot about his pursuits of his new record label, his rebrand recently, and some other huge secrets that he let us in on. So we're very excited to share this episode with you. A few quick reminders, everyone. We're doing a huge meetup at Lost Lands. Check our Instagram for the details. We also have a few more shirts left in stock. So if you didn't snag your Got Dubstep shirt or your Open This Pit Up Yet shirt, we have a few left for y'all, and you can just order those on dubstepfbi.com. And if you have any suggestions on who we would interview next on the pod, feel free to send us an email at exec@dubstepfbi.com.
Yep. And if you have any tracks that you want to submit to our Dubstep Slappers playlist or our Melodic Investigations playlist, we also have a form on the dubstepfbi.com website. Just go to contact and there's 2 forms. You'll want to go to the playlist submission form. So just let us know what track you have and what it's all about and which playlist you like to submit it to. And we'll send it over to our playlist curators for potential placement.
Yeah, it's the hot playlist that everyone wants to get put in nowadays.
I mean, we have an awesome team behind it, running it. So wouldn't be where it is without them.
Yeah, and be sure to check out our Melodic Investigations playlist as well. It's updated every Monday by our staff editor, Balix.
Well, how are you? It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you. How's it going?
Yeah. Where are you tuning in from? I see the studio. I see the speakers.
I'm in California right now, in my house in California.
Sweet. Okay. Are you near the LA area?
Kind of. I like to be away from LA as much as I shouldn't say that. I grew up in Long Beach, which is like 30 miles south of LA. And right now I'm kind of in the hills, like maybe an hour outside of LA. Kind of almost in the sticks. Like it's pretty out there, but I like it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm from San Diego originally, but I tried to avoid LA at all costs.
Yeah, I went to UCSD. I actually went to UCSD for college.
Oh, no way. Hell yeah. Yep. What'd you go there for?
I have a law degree, actually.
Wow. Okay, there's the first secret of the interview.
I know.
Yeah. Bear Grillz, law.
Well,
right. Yeah, Bear Grillz, JD.
Pre-law. I'm not actually I don't have a JD actually, but I wanted to be a lawyer.
What did you want to pursue within that field?
I wanted to do business law because I've always been like a big business. I wanted to start businesses and run businesses and do all that stuff. And then I graduated from college and I was studying for my LSAT to go to law school. And my parents were like, you have to get a job. If you're moving home after college, like you have to pay us and get a job. So instead of becoming a server or doing any of the, random jobs that you do at that age, I started organizing like clubs. I was a promoter. Wow. I became a promoter. I was the first promoter or concert organizer or whatever to do like EDM shows on the West Coast and like 8 different markets from like, I was the first one to do Eugene, Oregon, where Oregon is, Chico, like Santa Barbara, a bunch of little college towns. I was the first guy to come in and do electronic music shows, which is kind of funny.
Was it like trance music, big room?
It was everything. I don't know how long you guys have been in the scene, but Steve Aoki did a tour with DatSick, and DatSick was the direct support. It was called the Dead Meat Tour.
Okay.
And Dirty Phonics was their like the opener. So this is probably like 2012.
Okay, and yeah.
So what I did was I like basically bought the whole tour on the West Coast. So I did, 8 shows, and I would just travel with the DJs all the way up. And Steve and I became kind of good friends because I used to book him before he was like, Steve Aoki, the big, what he is now.
The Cake Meister.
So he's kind of the one that got me into electronic music. I say this every interview, but he's kind of the reason why I am where I am.
Wow. So were you like essentially becoming their tour manager for the West Coast, or like?
No, I was just a promoter. So I would buy, like, book the shows. I would find the venues for all the markets and then promote the show. And so I used to run a venue in Long Beach that was it was huge. It was like 2,000 people every single Thursday. And it was just like a local DJ college night. And then I had the idea, I was like, well, EDM is getting kind of big. This was in like 2012. It's so long ago.
Yeah, the big room days, like I said.
And so I would book Steve Aoki for like $500.
Oh my
and we would sell out, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then I started booking more DJs and, talent, because back then you didn't really need to have talent to throw a club night or like a concert night. I was just like, college night, $5, everyone would show up.
Right.
Now,
cheap
like,
drinks.
now you have to have so much. You can have the biggest DJs in the world and still be competing with other venues and having the biggest, like my Denver show, for example. So rough.
Really? You thought it was rough?
Well, I mean, it ended up being good, but like the competition that week was just insane. Like we had Global Dub the weekend before, which is a huge, obviously, for Denver, Then we had Slander at Red Rocks on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, that week.
That was a rough week.
Then we had seven Lions on Wednesday at Red Rocks. And then we had DJ Snake the night before my show at Mission.
Oh my gosh.
And then the night of, we had William Black at why can't I think of the name of the venue? Was he at the Ogden? No, it's Bluebird. Yeah, he was at Bluebird. So it was like, that one sold out. So that's like 600 tickets. So you have to think that if Will doesn't throw that show, a lot of those kids are, looking for something to do. They're going to come to Mission because I would have been the only other show. So we still did really well. Like, everybody was happy, but it didn't sell out. So I'm not happy, but everyone else was happy. So at the end of the day, it's good. But, for me, it's like, why did I have to have 8 different shows that week? It sucks.
That was rough, because I think Chrissy and I pretty much went to all those shows that we just named off. Yeah, we went to Global Dance, then Slander, 7 Lions, DJ Snake, and then your show. And I almost did not make it to your show. I was so close to not making it, because I was a zombie.
Well, and my lady brought up a good point, because my lady, she was a server at a restaurant for years. And she said most of the servers, if there's a show on a weekday, they're going to go to the show on the weekday because prime money serving is on the Friday and Saturday nights. So all the restaurant industry probably went to the Tuesday, Wednesday shows because they're off or they're not working because it's a slow night. And then for my show, they're like, no, we're going to work because we make the most money that night. So it's like, everything was against me.
Yeah, that was still an incredible show, though. How long did it take you to plan that? Like, when was the idea first born to play at Mission?
Well, it was, so after, it basically already had the offer in after my Red Rocks headline. So that was May 2019.
Oh my gosh. So like 2 years in the making.
Yeah, well, the way that, the way AEG works is that they usually send me an offer for a show like a year in advance.
Okay.
So originally the show was April of 2020. April of 2020. So it was April 4th. And then we went into lockdown on the 18th of March.
Yeah.
So I was like 2 weeks away from actually having the show. And then it got pushed back to, I think we tried to do July. Then it got pushed back to, it got pushed back like 4 times.
Mm-hmm. So did tickets go on sale already when you kept pushing it back?
Oh my gosh.
So the thing that really sucked was that I guess Mission Ballroom, like, because they book shows so far in advance, they were like, okay, we have July 31st, or you have to wait till 2022. So I was like, okay, well, fuck, let's just do it, right? Let's go. And then I didn't realize, because all the shows were opening back up, like everybody's in a mad scramble to get a show. So then Slander booked theirs. I was like, all right, it's not that bad. And then Seven Lions booked theirs. I was like, fuck. And then my agent calls me. He's like, yo, we're gonna do Will the same night. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. I'm like, no, dude. Like, so
Jesus.
it's fine.
Yeah. I know when Matt played at Temple, it was him and Bainbridge. That night, Blunts and Blondes was playing. And then I think there was another show somewhere else. So like, it's not uncommon to get triple booked here in Denver.
Well, Denver's always, I say the worst, but as a fan, I say the best, right?
Yeah. It's
Because
like a
you always
thriving.
You always have options, but whenever I play there, it's like 8 different things going on. I'm just like, no, I want everyone to come to my show.
Right.
So much competition out there.
Yep. It's I mean, it's like that a lot of places like LA but you know, you would never think Denver, because Denver technically is not a big market, but for bass music, it's like the best market, the biggest market.
We like to hold the crown and say that it's the ultimate bass capital, but others like to say otherwise, that it's Montreal.
Or we've heard Florida now too is a bass capital.
Like Orlando.
Man, I'm so biased because I've lived in Denver the last 6 years, but I would, if I were to give my top 5 in no particular order for anyone else who's watching that in Montreal, or Seattle goes really hard. Seattle is awesome. Montreal, it's a different kind of hard though, but then like Paris, Montreal, which I almost say it's the same city because most of the people, they go back and forth. And like Dallas goes really hard. I feel like whenever I play in Dallas. Florida, yeah, Tampa. I think Florida, Orlando, Tampa. I mean, what I tell people is honestly, there's just good bass markets everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's growing more and more every day. But I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I don't know how much longer dubstep's going to stay in its current form. Like, I feel like it's adapting more and more every day into these new, like maybe industrial dubstep or like speed dubstep or like all sorts of subgenres. And it's just transforming so quickly. I don't know if it will be the same as it is now in a year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that because I listen to music that's like a year old or even 2 years old. I'm just like, what is this? And it's like dubstep. It's weird. But yeah, I think a lot of different subgenres are gonna keep coming out. I'm watching this Twitter conversation with Jesse with Subtronics, and they're naming something called Wook bass, and I was like, Wook bass. Yeah. It's like, that's a new term. I was like, you have to keep up with all of them, honestly.
Right.
That totally sounds like something Jesse would be doing.
Right. And it's like Wook bass. That makes sense though. That actually kind of like that sounds right.
Yeah. And the nicer term for that is experimental bass.
Yeah.
I would say.
That's the more formal term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, and like you look at people like Liquid Stranger, like Martin, who I've known, for, a decade now. And I feel like he was like he supported Excision on his tour. Then I feel like he was kind of quiet for a little while. And then all of a sudden you just hear about Wakan. And it's just like Wakan is like huge, right? And that whole movement, this whole Wakan movement, I feel like stemmed obviously from dubstep, but it's like that wasn't around 2 years ago. And now it's like you have huge artists, and Wakan is like fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, their whole team is killing it. Like, shout out to Chloe and Kaylin behind the scenes. We work with them a little bit on articles. They'll kind of be like, hey, Buku's putting a song out this week. Do you want to cover it? Things like that. But they are on top of it. I'm always seeing something new from them. And they've built this community around it where people, they hold it so close to their hearts. It's like really admirable how passionate the fan base is. Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, I've known Nate and Loper and the guys who partner with Martin to start it for years. And they're awesome. They're really good. So, and that's the thing. Like I've hit up a lot of people like that as like for advice for Rude Service, because a lot of things went into me creating Rude Service. I won't really like talk about it because I try to not talk about negative things.
Yeah.
But a lot of things like kind of transpire for me to say, hey, I want to be in control of my own releases and my music. So I went to like Harrison at Dead Beats, and who runs Dead Beats with the Zeds Dead Boys. And I was like, hey, like, what did it take? And they all said the same thing. I was like, yeah, we we did it for a year, nobody cared. And then year 2, it just all of a sudden just like took off and everybody cared and everybody wants, he's like, at the beginning, nobody wanted to release with us. And then 2 years later, it's like Grillz wants to release with us. But I mean, you name a name and they want to release with either Wakan or Deadbeat. So I kind of took that. I was like, all right, well, for me, I really wanted to sort of focus on the artists who I believe are like the next wave of artists coming in, because I've been around. I even hate to admit this, but I've been touring for 9 years.
Okay.
And that's awesome though.
That means you're wise.
Yeah, and you could be a great mentor, because I know that you're a mentor for some of our good friends like Michael Stryer, and you provide a lot of good advice, and you have all this experience that everyone is just like itching to get to know and learn more from you.
It's so weird to me though to be that guy who people come to. I truly am a dubstep dad in that sense.
Dad.
Because like I was there, I was there once, and thankfully I had really good mentors myself. Like I was on the Excision tour on his first tour, and well, not his first, but the first big tour, the Paradox tour 2016.
Oh yeah.
So I was on that tour and I got to learn from Jeff, like everything. Jeff, he's just like straight focused, laser focused businessman. And I'm not going to say I hate to say it because the artist tour I was on before was that sick. And I know it's like, a lot of controversy with his name right now, but that was the most craziest tour I ever been on. Like it was just like a party nonstop. And I'm literally sleeping in the green rooms until the bus leaves, because I'm just like, it's just too much for me. And then I go to Jeff's tour and it's like 4 people on the bus. That's it. No partying. Like I get done playing my show, I go straight to bed. It was like just a whole different world.
Right. More of like an actual job situation.
Yeah. And so you take those experiences and you sort of you learn and grow from them. So it's like I could go this way and party and party myself out of a career, or I can become a businessman, which we just talked about. I was like, that's what I wanted to do in life, become a businessman and go this way and like have longevity. So that was the plan. I started Into the AM. I don't know if you guys know the brand, but it's a clothing company, and you can't miss it at shows. Check it out. It's called Into the AM. So I started that in like 2010 and sold it right before Bear Grillz, but it's like an EDM clothing. You'll honestly, when you see it, you'll be like, oh, I've seen that at shows all the time, because that logo is.
Yep, I've seen that. So that's so cool. So you have multiple businesses then, or at least you had a business. I did,
yeah. So I sold it.
A new one.
I sold it before Bear Grillz like started to get big, just because I knew I wouldn't have time.
Have you always had that entrepreneurial itch? I mean, it sounds like it, since you started in promotion, then you became an artist and all that other stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Like we were talking about, it's like I'm almost a decade in from touring, and I don't feel old, and I don't know. It's hard to explain when you've been in it for so long. It's like, gosh, this whole like COVID break has really given me a chance to sort of reflect on the things that I've done in life and like where I've gone and what shows I've played. And because when I'm in it, I think 2018, I was home for a total of like 31 days.
That's taking such a toll on your mental health.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I flew over 300,000 miles that year, I think.
Oh my gosh, I have chills.
Yeah, right.
Racking up those points, I guess, right?
In 2019, I went to China 8 times.
What were you doing in China?
Playing shows.
That's Bear Grillz, yeah.
Yeah, I would literally go for a weekend, play 2 shows, and fly right back into the States and play.
What? Wow. I can't even imagine going to a foreign country for just 2 days, at least one that far away.
Yeah, especially China, because it takes like 28 hours to get there.
Yeah, because it takes forever to fly there, and then the layovers, and don't you need like some special visa to get into China?
Yeah, I have a 10-year visa for China.
Oh, wow.
So I've been there like 20 times, and before COVID, it was nuts. I actually played in Wuhan in October of 2019.
Oh my gosh, I bet you were bugging when the news broke.
No, the thing is my lady and I Ashley, my girlfriend, she traveled with me full time for the last 5 years. And we got really sick in January, I want to say. So I didn't get as like like it's since obviously we look back and now that COVID has been around, she definitely had it. I had a weird cough, but it didn't really affect me that much, and that was it. So she definitely had it. And I like to joke with her like she was a super spreader, because we were literally in Wuhan in October before, like, because COVID started happening, they say, in the States in like November, December, January. So I was like, you are the super spreader in the States.
The like
COVID.
patient 1 or patient
Seriously.
0.
Literally.
Oh my gosh.
But they would have never known, because they started detecting the COVID patients when they started testing. So they would have never known.
when COVID hit and they're like, I kept hearing Wuhan, I was like, I know I've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
So when I went back and looked, it's like, I freaking played there.
Wow. So there's a market for EDM in Wuhan, China.
Oh, there's
you got to tell us, how was it anyway?
China, I can't talk bad about China because they're probably going to be watching this. And if you talk bad about China, they will ban your ass.
DUBSTEP FBI loves China.
No,
we stand for China.
No, honestly, so I was like an average, normal American, Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shanghai, right? Okay, we know New York. New York is our biggest city in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Right.
China has 19 cities that are bigger than New York City.
What?
God damn, brother.
What incarnation?
Like, I would go to a city and it would have 30 million people, and New York 8.5 million. So just to put it in perspective, it has like almost 4 times more of the people. And these are cities you've never heard of in your life. Like Chongqing, China is a real place that has 32 million people. And I don't know if you've ever been, have you guys been in New York City before?
Yes.
I mean, you see how there's just literally like buildings on buildings in New York. I mean, multiply that by like 100, and that's friggin' China in every city. It's insane. So
of course there's going to be a market for EDM there. There's 30 million people.
Yeah, and the thing is it sells out every single night. Every club is open 7 nights a week, and it sells out every single night, because think about it, there's 30 million people in a city. All those people can't go to one particular show. They have to essentially spread it out over the week. It's fucking crazy. It's madness. Oh my gosh.
Did you do any touring in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, I've played Vietnam. I've played in Myanmar. I've played in Thailand. I've played in Bali. I've played everywhere.
Did you play at the Omnia Club in
Bali? I did a lot. I did a nightclub there called Sky Garden. So it was like one of the top 100, on the DJ Mag top 100 nightclubs. So
yeah, I don't think I ever went there.
I did I'll break down this funny story for you real quick. I'll try to make it quick. So I played a show in the Mongolian desert. Okay.
Wow. So, Mongolia, first of all, that's
Mongolia, incredible. Right? Okay. So my agent hits me up and he's like, hey, so I know we're already going to China. Cause I was in China like 10 times in 2019. Yeah. So he's like, hey, so we have a show in Shanghai. I got this festival for you in Mongolia. I'm like, okay, like Mongolia, like how would they know what EDM is or, any dubstep? But no, the promoter, he's good. We're good. So I have to take a flight from basically Denver to LA to Shanghai, then 4 more hours from Shanghai into the desert. And then we have to get in a car and we have to drive 4 more hours into the desert. So it comes out that this festival that I'm playing is the largest off-roading race in the world. So think of Burning Man, but think of 1 million people in the desert like Burning Man.
Oh my God.
Like it was like, when I tell people this story, it's hard for me to like actually articulate how fucking crazy this thing was, because it was like they took like Denver, the city of Denver, with all the, buildings and stores and electricity and shit, and moved it into the middle of the desert and had 1 million people just fucking chilling. And the crazy thing is like, they didn't set tents up. They were just like Chinese families of 4, like whatever, sleeping in their car, like a Honda Civic. They would literally just sleep in their car for 2 weeks and then wake up and then go walk around the city.
2 weeks? Wow.
Yeah, it was like a 2-week long, like off-roading.
Damn.
Like
And so
Black Rock City, but 20 times bigger.
yeah, so it was like so I get there and I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking know anybody, right? And fuck, of course, Val, Virtual Riot is there.
What?
Like randomly. I'm like, what the fuck, Val? Like, how did I not know you're playing this show? Or like, how did we not like communicate that we were gonna literally play a show together, right? And so it was all like other Chinese artists, but it was like literally me and Val just fucking chilling. It was like, oh, I can't think of the name of the you guys know the movie Mad Max?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was like that. They had these like the most insane off-road here. I want to
what in the world?
I have a
Mongolia is
picture.
not a place you think of for a festival
at all here. So I don't know if you can see this, but so you see these cars?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like some straight up Batman shit that they let me drive.
Wow, you got to drive
Holy
that.
shit, dude.
Like it was insane. And I'm just like literally in the middle of nowhere. And so I have my little translator people that sort of stay with us.
A translator? I love it.
Yeah, because if I get lost, I'm dead, right? There was not one I can't even say American, like white person
Not
or
one English
non-Chinese person. Exactly. So and Ashley, my lady, she's, like blonde hair, blue eyes. Like if she gets lost, we're fucked.
Yeah.
So there's no service, of course. And my translator is like, oh, I'm going to go find our car, because it was like a literal shit show. I mean, there's just cars for miles, no service. So the guy's like, stay right here, because if you move, I'm going to not find you until the morning. I'm just like, what the fuck? So he's gone for like an hour and I'm freaking out. And we're just like literally sitting in this fucking corner. And we finally found us and like bounced. But it was like crazy as shit. Like I tell that story as like one of the coolest and craziest stories of my whole DJ career by far.
Of your life, probably.
And the craziest thing about it is like if I were a like Chinese speaking person, it would have been the coolest experience ever. But because it happens in China and Mongolia, like the Western world will never know about it. And like the cars and the racing and so they have like a hip hop stage, an EDM stage. Like it was just, I mean, it was like I said, it was like Burning Man times 100. It was fucking cool. I wish I had more pictures. Damn. But I was so tired. I like took the picture in the car, drove, and then played the show and bounced. The guy said while I was playing, they spent over $250,000 on fireworks above my stage.
Just for your set?
Like it was like a legit main stage at EDC Vegas. Like that's how they put so much money. The thing about China is like they spend so much money on everything there. It's crazy.
Damn. I heard that they go all out on shows there and like that the crowds are crazy.
Yo, I get off the plane and there's like 100 or 200 kids waiting for me with Bear Grylls signs at the airport.
What?
Is that the most people that have ever like mobbed you for that?
Oh yeah. Well,
at an
like,
airport?
in the States, nobody even knows. Like I can walk my own shows almost and people don't even know. But in China, so yeah, it's just crazy. And then they'll pay kids to be out front of the venue when you arrive.
Mm-hmm.
And they give them all these like crazy signs and like teddy bears and all this shit. And they hype you up. It's crazy.
So I have to ask, like, when you were doing all these China runs and Southeast Asia runs, like, what agency were you on? Who was doing all your bookings? How did that get handled?
So I've been with Circle Talent Agency, Max Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
So going far back. So Max Freeman is one of my, he's like my brother. You guys know Max, of course. Yeah. So he's like my brother. Like he was one of my best friends before he was an agent and before I was Bear Grylls. So when I was running my concerts into the AM, he was a promoter also because he's from Manhattan Beach, California. So he was running concerts. So we got together and I started managing a couple artists and he became our like agent, so to speak. And he put together, I want to say it was like 2014, maybe even like 2000. It was a while, actually probably long. Anyway, sorry. So he put together Into the AM nationwide tour. And because of that, Steve Gordon, who owned Circle now, it's UTA now, of course, but he saw what Max did and invited Max to become an agent on Circle Talent Agency. So when I came out with Bear Grylls, Steve Gordon hit me up and was like, yo, we want to sign you. and they wanted to give me to a different agent at first. And I was like, no, if I'm going to have my project be with you guys, I want Max, because he's been my best friend since 2008 or whatever. So he's still my agent today.
Wow. I know
That's
a lot
amazing.
of people like in the industry, they look at you, they look at Max and Steven, they think that you guys are like these larger than life figureheads, but it sounds like you really did just build that from ground zero, like every day, one little thing.
So it's funny because whenever I play like a big show and Max is there, like I headline Red Rocks, he looks at me and I look at him, and we look back on this tour that we did in 2008 where there were 8 of us, right? Count 8 people, and we drove around the country in a fucking minivan and shared one hotel room for like 3 months. So what we literally had to do was we would take the mattresses off the bed and put them on the floor. So 2 people could have a bed on the floor, and then 2 people would sleep on the fucking box spring with like a blanket under it.
That's the trick right there.
Like straight up, like that's what we went through. And anytime we're together and we have a big show, we laugh at each other, because it's like, who would have ever thought from what we were doing back then as a local, I was a local Long Beach kid, to doing, playing festivals in Mongolia.
Wow. That's so
cool.
Inspiring, to be honest.
It's crazy.
Yeah. To look back at it like that.
Well, and it's funny because Trevor Said the Sky just headlined Red Rocks last week, and that's a Max as well, right? So Max found Trevor when he was just a local Denver kid, like no following anywhere else. And my first show ever in Denver was at Cervantes.
Gotta love Cervantes.
And I was the direct support for Terra Vida.
Oh, John and the other one, Chris.
Yeah.
And the opener was a little known act called Said the Sky.
Oh my gosh, full circle.
Wow.
And so Max and I, like, literally, we talked about it and we're like, can you fucking believe that Trevor and I were on a tour supporting Terra Vida? And now, like, I've headlined Red Rocks, he's headlined Red Rocks, like he's literally, the next, I mean, if he's not already huge, and it's like, you, like, Max, you are responsible for that. Like, you brought us up, and now look at us. It's just, it blows my mind to think about that.
I have to ask though, I'm sure you've had shows where only like 20 people have showed up early on in your career.
Oh, yeah.
Or no one.
Yeah. Or no one. Like, I know my boyfriend and a few of his friends, like, they go on these tour stops and sometimes there's only like 20 or 50 people there. And it's hard not to get discouraged. Like, what advice do you have for artists that size who are just trying so hard to break through into the next level?
I don't know who, you know what, it might have been Rated R. I don't know if you guys know Rated R. Frankie. So I was actually having a conversation with him because I think that happened to him recently. And I said, honestly, man, play your heart out every show, no matter what, because those 20 people might leave your show and say, fuck, he was the coolest DJ I've ever seen. And those 20 people tell 20 people, and then that becomes 40, and those 40 people, it's all like word of mouth in our business. It's like, when someone goes to a show, the first thing you do when you go home, you want to tell your friends, like, dudes, Said the Sky was so cool, you have to come with me next time. But if you go up there and you're discouraged and there's only 20 people and you're just going through the motions, then all 20 of those people might leave being like, fuck that guy, right?
That is so true.
He wasn't that cool, and why would I be excited? And like, for me, it's like, if I went to a show and some dude was up there giving his heart out, like, you have to respect that.
Especially if there's no one around cheering you on.
Yeah. And the thing is the hardest advice that I'll give is whether there's 20 people or 20,000 people, it's always going to be difficult because, like, for example, I'll just give you sort of my like linear growth in Denver. So like, I played Cervantes as the direct support. My very next show, I headlined Beta. And I was one of only 2 artists that year. I think it was like 2017 or 18, maybe 17. I was one of 2 artists that year to fully sell Beta out, like, before the doors open, myself and Jaws.
Damn.
And like, I was a Denver local, so it was like that, you know, I expected that. Of like, if we didn't do that, I would have been disappointed. So then I got to headline Parade of Lasers it used to be called City
Skylab?
City Hall, but now it's called Temple, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, AEG said, look, we want to bring you to the Ogden now. And at that point in my career, like the Ogden was like, holy fuck, only the biggest of the biggest play there. And so there's all this pressure that builds up because, you know, after that first show, like I started headlining these shows. And when I thought of the Ogden, I just thought like that was one of the most unattainable venues that could ever happen to me. Right? Because it's like, when you come from Cervantes being a direct support, you think the Ogden is so far away. So I got the Ogden show and I was just like, oh my God, sold it out. So AEG said, okay, well now we want to do 2 Ogdens. We want you to play Friday and Saturday night.
Ooh, the back-to-back.
So I sold those out. Then that's why they gave me the headline Red Rocks. And so it's like, no matter if there's 20 people, 2,000, 20,000, you're always going to want to sort of keep growing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I tell people. It's like I give them that story of Denver because it's been 5 years, almost 6 years for me in Denver of sort of growth. And I just feel like a lot of people, they'll see an artist, they'll take an artist, like, you know, maybe someone goes to the Sky at Red Rocks and says, God, he blew up overnight. Mm-hmm. Because you see him at that point, but you haven't seen him at the point where he was literally opening Cervantes at 10 o'clock 6 years ago, because you've only become aware of him there. So at that point, it's like, you always have to be thinking further ahead. Like, yes, you might have played a show for only 20 people, but the next time you come back to that particular city, you're going to have released another EP or a remix or a single, or done something to actually get more people to engage in your music. So they're going to want to come to that next show, and there might be only 100 people at the next show. And then you have to figure out what to do to get 200 and then 500 and 1,000. And so it's hard because a lot of people think that, oh, well, you know, my music got 1 million plays on SoundCloud or Spotify, but that's free. Mm-hmm. Like, I can go on and listen to any artist I want for free, essentially. You don't
have to drive anywhere.
And you don't have to pay $20 or $40. So you have to figure out what's going to make someone who doesn't have a lot of money spend money, their hard-earned money, to see you.
Mm-hmm. Like, what's in it for them?
Yeah. So that you have to stand out. You can't just do what everybody else does. And that's why, like, for me, I'll be the first to tell you, I think this whole bear persona got me to where I was, because if I would have just been a normal guy, I don't think I would be where I was, because I sort of had a like edge, something different to make kids be like, holy cow, I went and I was like fucked up and I saw a bear DJing.
Yeah, it's that distinguishing factor, like what makes you real, relevant, and rare, your brand.
Definitely. And for me, like I decided early on that I would be the guy who, like, for the last, I guess, almost decade now, respond to everybody on Twitter. And I was the guy, I was the first person who at every show I would say, go to the merch booth and I'll be there and I will talk to you. And I've spread that. Like, I've made so many other of the DJs who have been on my tours, like, I've teach them that it's not about just going to a show, showing up, staying backstage and going on stage and then playing and then leaving. Like, you need to do more to engage with people. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm like, when I go into a city now, I feel like the majority of people don't even say, I'm going to see Bear Grillz. They say, I'm going to go see RJ. Mm-hmm. Because
I've heard that from a few people.
Because I've had conversations with so many of these people throughout every city, because they know where to find me. They know I'm at the merch booth and they can come talk to me like I'm a regular person, because I am a regular person. I'm not a person who like thinks I'm on a pedestal or like, you know, whatever. I'm just a normal dude, lucky enough to do what I do for a living. And I think, you know, that resonates. I don't, especially in the dubstep world, because I feel like we're all just, you know, we're just normal people. We're just trying to have fun and make our way through life.
Yeah. And just do what you love for full time, for a living, you know?
Yep.
So that it doesn't feel like, so that it doesn't have to feel like work. I have a lot of respect for artists like you who make the time and make the effort to actually interact with their artists, because there are times where, Chrissy and I will go out to shows and we want to talk to some artists and just say hi, introduce ourselves. We're the Filthy Beat Inspectors, we're DUBSTEP FBI, like, let's collab,
Yeah.
or like keep up the good work. And sometimes they just kind of give you the cold shoulder and they just think they're all that. Like, I don't have time for you, and those artists, I feel like they're not really going to make it that far. I'm not going to call out anyone, but
Yeah. I mean, two things on that point. It's not about what you said, it's about how you made them feel. I'm a huge believer in that. And number two, I mean, shout out to Subtronic, shout out to Jesse, because he's done that. Every show that I've been to of his, he's waited until the very, very end, even if it's been an hour long line after the show of people waiting to greet him and just like give him a hug and take pictures. And that really stands out to me, is that he's this huge artist now, but every time I've seen him, he's been willing to talk to every single person.
Yeah. And like for me, I treat everybody the exact same. Like I roll into a venue, the first person I'm talking to and thanking is a promoter. And that's why I tell all these young DJs, like even Matt, I'm like, dude, when you get to a venue, go straight to the promoter and thank him, because he's literally paying your salary and he's putting up a risk because he doesn't know if he's going to make money on the show. He's believing in you and himself to actually sell tickets for him to make money. So for me, I just feel like there's such a lost, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, it's such a lost opportunity for artists who just show up, go to the green room and then play and then bounce. Like for me, I'm like, hey, thank you. Like, I hope you make money. I want to come back. Let's build together. Let's have some longevity. And then I go to the security guards and I say, thank you. Like, thank you for doing what you do. I know it's not easy because there's a entire crowd's worth of fucked up people who probably hate you and don't respect you because you're a security guard, and they say, well, you threw out my best friend, like fuck you. And I see that all the time. Like almost every big show I play, I get a tweet from somebody who got kicked out saying fuck the security guards. And it sucks because that they're doing their job. Like if somebody's becoming unruly and unsafe for the crowd, they're going to get thrown out. So for me, like I go straight to the security guards and say, thank you guys. Like I appreciate, you're unsung heroes in this industry, because we can't have order without you guys. Like I've been on stage, a million times when I have people come up and run up to me. And it's scary because you don't know what their intentions are, because I'm literally focused on what I have to do as my job. And then I see someone running up behind me trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. So it's just, to me, it's just being a human being. Like I treat everybody like a human being. That's, but then I get so many people who say, no, you're the first person to ever do that. And it blows my mind that people miss those opportunities. So,
yeah. And I mean, everything I do, even on the hard days, I always tell myself, if you're doing things, every single thing that you do, if you have good intentions for that and your intentions are always pure, then in the end, it will always turn out good.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it's not the end. I know that's tacky, but you should always have good intentions.
Yeah, for sure. You should. And
yeah. And like, one of my favorite quotes is, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Because, Chrissy and I, we love what we do. We love this podcast. We love bringing on artists like you to give out good advice and just have a good community, and write articles, help up and coming artists, reach a wider audience. And so people are always asking us, like, how do you monetize on DUBSTEP FBI? It's like, we're doing what we love now and we're focusing and crafting our skills. The money will come.
Yeah,
that's not 100%. What's important right now.
Definitely. That's kind of the attitude I take with the label, because I'm just literally pouring in so much money to the label every month to have a staff that I think is like, I didn't want to start a label that's just me and like call it a label. Like I have 5 people who essentially work full time on the label, and as a 3-month-old label, like I'm just literally burning money to keep it going. But I know in the long run that all the artists that I'm signing and releasing and I'm helping, like I know that I'm helping to push the music industry forward in the right direction. Because like for me, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a huge advocate of like mental health because
Oh yeah.
back in, God, it's hard to remember years, but my Demons album was basically dedicated to mental health. I think it was like 2018 where I just kind of hit a wall with myself because I travel, all year, and it's crazy. And I hit a wall with like my mental health, and I was just like, all of a sudden was just like so bad. And it took me a long time to sort of figure out myself. Like I quit drinking, I quit basically dairy and meat, and I started eating like healthy. And I just had to keep like making these like small corrective decisions that put me back on the right path to having a strong mind, like before when I was touring. So I did the whole Demons thing, my Demons song, and I still end that song at the end of all my shows. And what I did was I put out my personal email. It was like 2018, and I think I've spoken to about 10,000 people privately about mental health. From people, I literally for the entire year would put out my email and say, hey, if you're struggling with mental health, email me and we'll talk. And I've probably talked to like 10,000 people.
Wow.
And that's the shit. Like, I know I hate talking about it because I feel like a lot of things that go on social media are meant to look good, to make you look better. But for me, it's like, I tell that story because I want people to get better, and I want to push us forward, because there's not enough talk about social media, mental illness within DJs, and not just DJs, but performers and anything, actors or writers or whoever. I get basically like humans. But for me, it's like, I never thought about it because I never went through it. And after I'd gone through it, I was like, well, now that I have this platform, I would rather use it for that versus turning up and looking cool and doing those types of things. So it's just been really awesome to talk to people behind the scenes, because for me, it's like, say you're a 19-year-old kid. I say kid because I'm old now. But you can't talk to your friends about mental health because they're going to laugh at you.
Or judge you or talk about
exactly.
you.
And then you can't go to your parents because they're going to get mad at you. Most likely they're going to say, why? What's wrong with you? Why? And neither of those two parties are actually going to help you. They're going to make you actually probably worse, because if you get laughed at for having legitimate feelings, that it's going to like kind of mess you up even more. So my idea was like, hey, I'm a outside party. And what I've learned from mental health is if you're struggling with something, if you just say it out loud and you have somebody to say it out loud to, like for me, like when I'm struggling with something, I'll go to my lady and be like, hey, you're going to laugh at me probably, and it's going to sound ridiculous, but I need to get it out and I need somebody to hear it, because I need for myself to hear how ridiculous I sound. And literally I talk and she says, okay. And I hear like, I shouldn't be worried about this or whatever I'm worried about. And then I get over it. And it's crazy the power you have like that. So for me, I was like, hey, these people email me and I give them my advice and I tell them to stay positive. And I'm an outside influence on them, where at least they can get what they're feeling off their chest and not have anyone judge them.
Yeah. And I mean, even out of those 10,000 people, if you helped one person, it's worth the minutes and the hours that you've spent talking to all these people.
Yeah. I've had multiple people say that they were basically on track to commit suicide, and because of our conversation stopped them from doing it. And for me, that's like, that's way more important than anything I've done musically or touring or any of that stuff. So that's cool. It really is.
And those are the things that you'll take with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Because who knows, I've actually been starting to think about like, how long am I going to do this? Like what's my plan here? It's been almost a decade. So it's crazy.
So what is your plan, since I know that you're managing up and coming artists? And so like, what is your goal with that?
It's kind of like my exit strategy. I want to be involved in the music industry still, but I just don't, I don't want to start rumors or anything, but I just don't know how much longer I can tour.
I mean, every artist has a life cycle, especially on the road.
Yeah, I want to like I love playing shows. I love doing what I do, but it just takes such a mental and physical toll on your body. Like for me, I have lots of issues with my body right now because of dancing with a bear head on my head that weighs 20 pounds for fucking 8 years. So I like,
I can't even imagine.
but that's the, you know, you laugh about it, but like I have really bad knee. I had really, I'm, you know, I correct all my things. I'm like, I have, my shoulders are just so fucked right now from doing this every night, like literally head banging and doing this every night. Like, you know, for a lot of people, they go to a show once a week and they head bang and they recover. But for me, it's like, fuck, it's like for years, it's
Non-stop.
4, 5, 6 nights a week. So for me, I just, you know, I'm trying to figure it out. That's why I started the label as well. I thought I still want to be connected with the music industry. So by starting a label, I'm still sort of connected and I can help people. And then if I manage some people, then I can still sort of be connected. And lots of people are like, why don't you become an agent? And I was like, no, I can't be an agent.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's like a 24-hour job. If like anything goes wrong at any show, the agent is getting bitched out. And it's like, it's not even their fault.
I have one more question before we move into the lightning round. So you recently actually made your identity a little bit more edgy. Talk about what the process was. I'm going to call it a rebrand. But you got a scarier looking mask. Like, tell us about that.
So I can't tell you too much because it's part of a big plan that's going to be unveiled in the next like year, maybe 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but on the surface, it's me stripping down the brand.
Okay.
And I guess obviously you strip something down to build it back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of what it's about. Like for me, I had the happy costume, the first one, then I did the lights, and then I went to the demons, which was the black helmet with the red lights, and that was for mental health. And then I have this new one, which is sort of like, you know, rest in peace, Bear Grillz. And I kind of wanted that to signify like this whole pandemic. So we basically went through, I mean, we're still going through it, right? But it's sort of better, I guess, for playing shows and everything's whatever right now. But so I wanted to sort of signify like, you know, this last year and a half or whatever it was, is that we've sort of we've changed a lot. And I just wanted to strip the bear down back to bare bones, I guess, and then really just build them back up. And you'll see that with the next, so I have an album. I haven't dropped the date, but then I do a Friends album. I did the Friends album last year. It's like all collabs. We're going to be dropping another Friends album in January with lots of collabs who I can't name. Maybe Spaghetti.
Ooh.
Wait, no, didn't say.
Oh, word?
Just kidding. No, I mean, yes.
Leak.
I have another one with Spaghetti, but he was collab on the last album. But so I have a couple from the last album, but basically it's all new. So once the album drops, then we're going to announce a tour, and it'll basically be like sort of like I said. All I can say is that we just wanted to strip down the bear, and then we're going to build them back up. What you can sort of, I guess, use your imagination what that means. And it's funny because I didn't mean for it, or me personally, I don't think it looks anything like Sudden Deaths.
No, I never.
Not at all.
I
did not come to mind.
I know, but like you can't even imagine how many comments I was like, okay, Sudden Death 2.0. I was like, dude, it looks so I know I'm talking like, so basically I have a bear skeleton that you guys are thinking I'm copying someone else. And it's like, you can't do anything without being called out for copying.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Another
I'm gonna have
downside.
in this video, I'm gonna have to put like a side-by-side comparison because like I'm like picturing it in my head and I'm like, I cannot see it at all.
I mean, it's just basically a skeleton head of a different animal is what it is.
A little less bulky.
Because he's I don't know what sort of animal, but it has antlers. So I'm assuming it's like a deer or something.
A deer, an elk,
whatever,
an
elk,
or
something like that. Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, well, if you look at the progression of the bear, it's essentially the same helmet as my old bear helmet, but it's just envisioned as if it were a skeleton.
And you've been wearing helmets since before he did that whole thing.
But it's not even I've known Danny since before he was sudden death, I feel like. So, but it's not even about that. Like, it just sucks that, you spend all this time doing something and then you just get called out for copying. It's like, it's all good. But yeah, so anyway, to get back to your question, it was just like, I didn't mean it for it to look like it was in a dark place. It was more meant to be like stripped down, because the last like 2 or 3 years I've been releasing a lot of like melodic future bassy type stuff, and now I'm like I wanted to go back to that skeleton head, essentially, to signify that like it's all dubstep from here on out. Like, it's all bangers, hopefully.
Yeah, we love to hear that.
So that's kind of what it was about. It was like, when you think of bangers and like heavy dubstep, I wanted it to be gritty, not necessarily dark, like Josh Figure DJ. He's probably like one of my closer friends. I don't have a lot of like really close DJ friends who I actually consider like friends outside of work. But so Josh and I had this conversation, and he's like, because he's like literally, the OG of like the scary DJ world. Like, he does the Halloween thing every year. And so I was like, yeah, I didn't really want it to be dark. I just wanted it to be like gritty and heavy, because that's what I think like dubstep is like, that was the whole idea. I never really said that publicly, because I haven't really played a lot of shows since I released it.
Yeah, things have been kind of low key this year.
Yeah, so I actually canceled or not canceled, but postponed like all my August and some September shows. Just as my lady is immunocompromised, so I don't want to go out, get it, and bring it home to her. And
I do have a question though. So Stryer, one of the artists you're managing, you guys played at the Mission Ballroom show, the Demons VIP collab.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, yo, dude, like, are you gonna drop this or what? And he said no. So like, what's the deal with that?
We're just gonna play it.
Just gonna play it at shows?
Yeah.
So you're telling me I have to go to either his show or your shows to hear that song live?
Yep. See, it works. You're gonna have to go. See, we got that's exactly what we want.
Most wanted track.
Man.
No, it's funny too, because he's like, I would kill to work with Avina, with Run. And so it's like, dude, just make something. And he sent me this thing. I was like, all right, we have to collab on this and make it a VIP. Originally, I was thinking about releasing it with Dimmock, because I would have to release it there, because that's where the original song is. But we decided that I'm rude service from here on out 100%. So can't.
Hey, that creates a sense of demand for it.
Yeah, but I'm sure he hasn't sent it to you. I'll send it to you.
She's gonna play it like 30 times.
tell him I sent it and be like, you're a jerk for not sending it to him.
Please tell him that. Like, text him now and be like, you're a jerk for not sending this to
you.
He's
been texting me this whole time.
He knows that you're on the pod.
Nah. Well, I have a text thread with him and Chris, who helps me run the label, and we're just like huge sports fans, so all we do is talk sports all day. Oh god,
you're one of those too. Sometimes he'll talk to me about sports and I'm like, fantasy what?
Yeah, I actually got him in a couple of my I run a couple of fantasy leagues with like a bunch of my old friends, and he's in several of them already. That's all we do.
Not surprised.
Shout out to Chris, because he helped us the night of your show with our ticket giveaway winner. He made sure that everything went smoothly, and good. I think he even met our winner down at the box office and made sure that they got in. So nice. Shout out Chris.
That's good. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he was so nice. He even approached me at your show in the VIP area. He made sure that I was good if I needed anything. Really, really awesome guy. Much respect.
Yeah, and it sucked because I really wanted. I feel like I didn't really get to talk to everybody at the show or at dinner. We had the pre-dinner, and I just didn't realize that there was going to be 30 people there. And so I tried to do it, and then once the show hit, then I got there and I had to do all these different things to get ready and talk to Scott, who runs AEG. I don't know if
Scotty
you guys
Campbell.
know. So Scott and I have been good friends. Like, we've worked together, and I hadn't been in Denver in a while. So I ended up having an hour-long conversation with him. So I was like, I want to go out and talk to people. And it was just like every which way. And then I don't know if you guys noticed that intro before I started playing. The guy who came on and was like, "Are you guys ready for Bear Grylls?" Anyway, so
Yes, I remember that.
So that's my buddy Josh, and he's the announcer for the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, cool.
So I had him.
Oh,
Just cool.
what?
Yeah. So yeah. So I was like, "Yo, go hype the crowd," because like I don't know if you guys know, but I've done a couple of the Nuggets halftime games.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I have seen you like on TV. If I'm watching the game on TV, I have seen you in the halftime shows. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's become a good buddy of mine. So I was like, go hype the crowd up before I start. So it was kind of cool. And his girlfriend is actually the head news anchor at God, what's the local sports in Denver?
Like Channel 7, Channel 4.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
With Kyle Clark? No, not Kyle.
Oh, I can't think of the name of it. I haven't
know.
watched.
It's got to be 9 News.
So his girlfriend is like, she's like the head Nuggets sports reporter. So they become good friends. So I caught up with them. It's like catching up with everybody. And it's just like that whole night just went by way too fast.
Yeah. Got to do a doubleheader next time.
I'll be back. was September. Maybe like 3 or 4 months I'll be back.
Ooh.
If you know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I think I know.
Yeah. Okay. We know now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's the perfect transition into our last section of the interview. We have the lightning round.
Oh boy.
So yeah, we've got 6 questions for you.
Are these from Instagram?
These are not from Instagram. These are just questions that we pulled out of our vault. Got it.
From the FBI labs.
Got it. How lightning do you want me to answer? So I tend to talk a lot.
Like less than 10 seconds for each answer? Maybe
oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh
let's keep it at
boy. 10 seconds. Okay. I'm ready.
I'll start off. Who were and are your mentors right now or in the past?
Oh man. Excision, Steve Aoki. And now I talked to several people, I guess, like Steve Blakely is a good guy, Denver.
Mm-hmm.
He's an old daddy like I am.
Shout out to the firm though. They did our logo.
Yeah, they do all of Root Services art.
Yeah, really amazing stuff. I love seeing their work.
He's a great dude.
Mm-hmm.
I miss him. When I lived in Denver, I lived 2 blocks away, or my last apartment in Denver was 2 blocks away from the office. So I go and walk the pup and then end up spending the entire day in his office.
Not a bad problem to have.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question. What was the first show you ever played as Bear Grylls?
Seattle, Washington, Volume Wednesdays. Direct support from Midas.
Ooh.
Wow, Midas, really?
I used to manage Midas.
Dang, you used to manage everyone.
I tell you, when you've been in the industry for as long as I have, you got a connection to everybody.
We need to get you a hat that says Dubstep Dad.
Yes, or a mug.
I'll take the mug.
Okay, cool. We'll have it shipped to you for Christmas. Next question. Fuck, marry, kill. Excision, Bagheady, figure.
I'll kill figure because he's a big Halloween guy and he's all about that murderish Halloween stuff. Fuck excision, and I'll marry Spaghetti because he's one of the nicest people that I've ever known, and he's Dutch. And so Dutch people are very nice. And if I have to go live, and he actually lives in Spain, I'll go live. I get to live in Spain.
Ooh,
and I get to eat a lot of Spain. I believe he lives in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Yeah, I actually went to Barcelona to visit him. Like 4 years ago. So I know I'm only supposed to answer 10 seconds, but I used to tour with him back before he even came to the States. So once again, see, this is the theme of the interview. I'm old and I've been around for way too long because I used to tour with him before he had come over to the States.
Wow. In Europe?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture with him in front of the Eiffel Tower when I used to do this.
What is
Damn.
So I used to cover my face because I was anonymous.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Bear Grillz used to be anonymous before 2016.
Did you ever play at Boots House?
Yep. Play Boot House twice.
Twice?
Chrissy and I are dying to go there. We say this pretty much on every podcast episode. We always ask the artists if they've ever played at Boots House, and we've been dying to go there.
Yeah, Cologne, Germany is awesome.
Mhm.
Honestly, I always make friends with all the promoters. So I'll go like, especially Cologne, because Cologne is beautiful. I'll go a couple of days early and hang out with the guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Chrissy and I, we went to Tomorrowland in 2018, and we bought the global travel package. So it was a train pass, a camping pass, and the festival pass. And the train was going from Cologne to Boom, basically.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we stayed in Cologne for like a couple of days, but we were there like on a Monday and Tuesday, and we left Wednesday or Thursday. To say the least, basically, like, huh?
I want to say Boot House is open like on random days, not just the weekends.
It wasn't open the days that we went, so we couldn't go.
I actually got to play. Oh man, I don't remember. I got to play an anniversary party for Boot House. It was either like 5 years or 10 years or whatever the years it was, and it was freaking insane.
Wow. I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm curious to hear who else played.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't remember.
Was it like all the Germans, like Virtual Riot and Samplifier and all
No, he wasn't there. It's funny because I've played with Val in Europe so many times too, before he even moved to the States and before he played in the States. Like he used to play on this little controller and it was like so crazy, man. I played a show once in Geneva, Switzerland. I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2016, when those terrorist attacks like came and shot up that theater, the Eagles Ballroom, I think it was called. Mm-hmm. So I was in Paris for that. Like
you were there?
Yeah. So we were in Paris. It was me, Spaghetti, Virtual Riot, and what was his name? I can't think of the fourth DJ, but he's actually never came over to the States. He was big. Ehide. Do you remember Ehide?
Mm-hmm.
By chance? So anyway, he's from Spain, I believe. So we actually didn't think we were going to play the show because Geneva is really close to Paris. So we were in Paris, decided to chill and just take a train over to Geneva when that happened. And we were just all freaking out because we didn't know what was going on in our hotels and they're like shooting people in the streets. So we almost didn't get to go to that show because they weren't allowing anyone to cross the border. Mm-hmm. But our agent, who was Parisian, was able to like sort of finagle us out of France to get to that show. And then backstage, Virtual Riot, do you know his song Preset Junkies?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he made that song backstage and then played it that night.
What the heck? What? That's like the story.
Fucking Jesus. Genius.
What a madman.
In like less than an hour.
Like it's insane. That's like one of my favorite Virtual Riot songs too. He's like, I'm gonna make this and play it, and he did, and I was like, fuck you.
Oh my gosh, he's just flexing.
Wow,
he's legit.
That's awesome.
No, that's crazy. Like what happened in Paris. I was living in Barcelona at the time, and I was just in Paris 2 days before that bombing happened.
Oh wow.
So my mom was obviously freaking out because she was like, I don't know if you're back in Barcelona or you're still in Paris. Like, are you okay? And I was in class all day, and like, you know, I didn't really have any service out there studying abroad. So all I had was WhatsApp and Wi-Fi. So there was a period of time where I wasn't answering her, and she like was freaking out. Which I don't blame her.
Everyone's freaking out too when they heard, because all my friends and family knew I was in Paris. Because when I play Europe, I'll stay like 3 weeks in Paris because it's the best city in the world.
Ooh, we could have a whole episode probably talking about your Europe experiences.
Literally.
We could. You know why? Because I've been doing it for almost 10 years now.
Again, there's the theme.
Pretty much.
We love talking about Europe and just traveling in general. Like,
yeah. My lady and I, whenever we would go to Europe and just to play like 2 shows and then take a month off and go to like Santorini or go anywhere.
so cool.
So I've played in the south of France a lot, like Lyon and then Montpellier. So I would go and stay like a month in Montpellier in the south of France because I have good friends there now. It's crazy. I love Europe so much.
I do too. I'm kind of obsessed with it, to say the least.
Both of us.
I know, me too.
All right, a couple more questions for you. We'll go with 2 more. So, if you could play any venue in the world that you haven't yet, which one would it be? I feel like you've played a lot, so it's
I've played everything. I know. I'm trying.
Even Booth House.
Yeah. Let's do the other question. Let's get back to you on that one because like I've literally been everywhere, so I don't even know what I can answer that one.
Or maybe let's change it up. So, what's your most favorite venue you've ever played, and you would totally play there all the time if you could?
Oh, see, now you're just gonna get me in trouble with Coloradans because if I don't say Red Rocks, everyone's gonna hate me.
Not including Red Rocks.
Outside of the U.S.
But outside of the U.S. So now I thought okay. But for reals though, I tell everybody this: the Gorge and Red Rocks are the 2 best venues in the country, and they're different because the Gorge has the river and the like mountains or whatever behind it, and Red Rocks is Red Rocks. So I always say they're 1 and 1A. So I couldn't tell you which one I like better because they're different, but they're both just as great.
We'll have to check out the Gorge.
Oh,
we haven't had a chance to make it.
How could you have not gone to Base Canyon or any of the shows that they have there?
We've been busy.
Yeah.
We haven't had time to go to Base Canyon.
Dang, you better go next year.
Yeah, I think we will.
You might see somebody there, you know.
Oh, really?
Hi, zombie, Stryer. All right, last question. We're going to wrap this up. Would you rather play for a large festival crowd or a small, intimate crowd?
Small, intimate crowd.
That's always the answer.
Is it? Yeah, I feel like it is. I just love when people are on top of me and around me. Although it does create some problems. Like I can't tell you how many drinks I've had spilled on the CDJs and ended nights. Oh my God. Paris happened once, and just, you know, it is. I like to feel the energy of the crowd, and at a festival it's cool, but it's just like they're like 100 yards or whatever, 50 yards away from you, and it's hard for me. I'm very energetic on stage, so when I'm not close to the crowd, I struggle more feeling their energy, so it's hard for me to sort of like, you know, do my thing. Versus like I can feel your sweat and your presence all around me. Like I go so much more crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans would rather see their favorite artists at a small venue too.
Of course.
Yeah, I have a funny story about getting drinks spilled on DJs. It was back in 2016, I want to say, or 17. I was out in Vegas for EDC week, and my friends and I, we went out to go see Marshmello, and I was just a young girl, like being stupid. I got way too drunk because the promoters were giving us just free drinks, you know. Sorry, mom. And somehow we ended up in the DJ booth with Marshmello. And I was being like respectable, you know, like I was just hanging out. And then they were handing out boxes of pizza, like little small ones. And I was like, hell yeah, pizza. And I was like eating. And then I had a drink. And then this really, really drunk girl, like Marshmello was like a couple feet in front of me, literally just playing in front of this big crowd at the club. And this girl like literally is like, Marshmello, and she leans over and she pushes me, and I'm wearing like 5-inch stiletto heels, and I literally almost knocked over Marshmello. And I'm surprised they didn't kick me out. They actually kicked out the girl behind me because they saw that she's the one that reached out and like pushed me. And I was just like so embarrassed after that. And that was like the quickest I've ever sobered up.
I've had so many of those types of stories, man. Like I was playing once in Vancouver and they only had 2 CDJs. I asked for 4, but they only had 2. Some dude, his intentions were good. He meant to bring me a beer, but he accidentally spilled it on the CDJ. So I literally had 1 CDJ. So I was like, fucking stop, play for the rest of the night.
No doubles.
No transitions. I had to literally stop and then play the next song.
Oh my gosh.
It
Worst
happens.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
it
are quite the
happens.
stories.
I've been through it all.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And I still have so many questions for you. So next time you're in Denver, hit us up. Let's go get
Soon.
dinner or something.
Yeah, not with 30 people this time.